Hey everyone, in this video I want to cover why needing validation or approval from someone that you are trying to sell to can actually be a good thing. Especially if you are an introvert or a shy person, you may think that there are drawbacks to needing validation, and there are, but there are also powerful advantages to this. Let's take a look. So naturally, being too approval-seeking or needing a lot of validation from the other side are not good things in a negotiation or a sale, because what's going to happen is you are going to fight less for yourself, and you are going to give the other side more importance than what they actually have. So you are not going to have that freedom, you're not going to be as nimble in terms of selling or even challenging them a little bit when what they're saying doesn't make a lot of sense. So naturally, wanting a lot of validation is a problem. But what we're talking about here is, if you need just a little bit of validation or approval, how can you turn it around and how can you use it as a tool to better sell? So there are four main reasons why needing validation can be powerful. The first of them is flattery. And flattery works the following way. When you flatter someone, they're going to like you more. And if they like you more, they buy more easily, or they're more easily persuaded by you. Now, the interesting thing about flattery is that it works even when the person is aware that you are flattering them. That is, even when they know that you are saying something on purpose just to butter them up or to make them feel better about you, it still works to a degree. Now, naturally, if you can provide an honest compliment on something that you truly admire in the person, that's going to be the best case scenario. But even when you are false to a degree and it's fake flattery, it still works. And this is very important, for example, for clients or prospects that have a big ego or where they want to feel respected and they want you to massage their ego. So in this case, flattery is not even an advantage, it's actually a requirement for you to be able to sell to this person or to persuade this person at the end of the day. The second advantage is customization. By this I mean the following. So usually, when you're trying to sell or to persuade or to pitch, you can follow one of two possible approaches, and one is clearly better than the other, in my opinion. But here are the two. You can either push this product or service or value proposition down the person's throat without even knowing what they're looking for, or you can gather information attentively, and then you can present your solution as a super specific and super tailored solution to the super specific pain that they have. That's a lot of super specifics. But here's the key. If you're someone who is seeking approval, or you're more shy, or you don't have the courage to confront the person, chances are you are going to speak less, but because of that, you are going to gather information. Especially if the person has a big ego, they love to talk about themselves, what they need, what they want, what they desire in life. And all of that is information that you can use to better tailor your solution to their needs. I frequently use a persuasion tool, which I call the diagnostic, which is just asking questions about what the person wants, what they need, until you really have made a diagnostic. And this is just like a doctor with a patient in their office. And then when you make a recommendation for a product or a service, it seems super tailored because you obtained all of this information from the person. And the secret is, just because you obtain this information, everything that you push is going to seem tailored, even if it isn't actually tailored. That is, the person always assumes that you've used all of the custom information that you've obtained. So if you obtain all of this information, even if the recommendation is not that specific, they're still going to think that it's specific. The third advantage of seeking approval or validation is flexibility. What I mean by this is the following. It is good to stand up for yourself and to draw boundaries and to have things that you just don't accept. But there are salespeople who are very rigid, especially corporate salespeople. They go up to the prospect and they say, this is the offering that we have. And unless you're willing to adapt to this offering, we don't have anything else. So they may lose a lot of prospects because they want something tailored, but there's nothing tailored. So the interesting thing is that by seeking approval or validation, as we mentioned, you are going to collect a lot of information about what the person wants in specific. But more than that, you can adapt the value proposition, so the product, the service, or whatever it is, to their specific needs. This is very useful as a client manager. I can't even begin to tell you the number of times that I've closed a client as a client relationship manager, so for upgrades or renewals, while other client managers did not. And what I did here was I took all the services that we have at our disposal, so training programs, enablement programs, actual upgrades, actual services, and while other client managers were only willing to sell them as atomic units, so whole parts, I was willing to go deep into them and to say, hey, you need this piece of the service and you don't need this piece of the service. So what we're going to do is we're going to sell you a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and this adapts perfectly to your situation. and it's a super specific solution. So in other words, because you seek approval and you seek validation from the person, you're not going to have the courage to blindly push something that they don't need. But that's a good thing, because you are going to force yourself to think of what you specifically need, even if you have to chop up your products and your services, but you are going to come up with a super specific solution. And the fourth and final advantage of seeking approval and validation is that you are going to be very good at reassuring clients. What I mean by this is the following. If there's a crisis with your company or you yourself as a consultant, some of your clients are going to be nervous. And here's the thing. In terms of managing the relationship with a client, there's always a trade-off between keeping the company happy or the service provider happy, which may be you, and keeping the client happy. And you have to balance both sides. But the interesting thing is that by seeking approval or validation, you're not going to have the courage to tell the client that it's their problem. So what's going to happen is that usually you are going to seek more answers from within the company, or you are going to try and find advantages or something that you can give to the client from within the company. In other words, you are going to be more demanding internally and less demanding with the client. And this is great to make a client happy. Sure, the company may not be that happy, but at the end of the day, charging the client a little bit less or giving them something more in return for their loyalty is a lot better than charging them more or not giving them anything and then losing them because they're unhappy. In other words, you are going to keep the clients happy in the long term, whether due to you actively doing it or just because you don't have a choice. So to summarize, being too approval seeking and seeking validation from your clients or prospects can be bad in extreme situations because you don't challenge them, you don't ask for what you deserve, you don't draw boundaries. So in an extreme amount, seeking validation is harmful, but in healthy amounts, it's actually good for the 4 reasons that we stated. So first of all, you can flatter the client. Because you seek approval, you can compliment them, and whether it's authentic or not, they are going to like it. Then, remember customization. Because you want the client to give you their approval, you are going to listen more to what they have to say, and you are going to tailor your value proposition to their specific needs, which is easier to sell. Then, remember flexibility. Because you want the client's approval, you are not going to push blindly the templates or the boilerplate solutions, but you are going to find a way to chop them up and to find a super specific solution that makes the client happy. And finally, you are going to be a lot better at reassuring clients because you don't have the courage to stand up to them in a way when there is a trade-off between the company being happy and the client being happy. You are going to be more demanding with the company to keep the client happy and earn their approval. So because you don't have the courage to make the client unhappy in a way, you are going to be more demanding with the company and make the client happier. So in the long term, this results in better relationships. If you've enjoyed the video, remember to like and to subscribe. And remember to check out the channel for more negotiation, communication, and sales techniques. Thank you for watching.